Hello, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout book tag. This has always been one of my favorite videos to do every single year. I just get so excited about it because I get to talk about some of my favorite books that I've read this year so far, some of my least favorite books that I've read so far, the most surprising, the most disappointing, it's all there. Before we do jump into this video though, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Confessions of a Rebel for sponsoring today's video. Confessions of a Rebel is a new fragrance line that is all about celebrating the spirit of rebelliousness that exists within all of us. They blend traditionally feminine notes with masculine undertones and vice versa to create fragrances that are anything but ordinary. All their fragrances are vegan and cruelty-free, and Confessions of a Rebel goes straight to the source for its ingredients. All the fragrance names have really cool names like Love High, Get a Room, Almost Single, Fuck Mondays, About Last Night, and Bitch Please. I received two fragrances from them. The first one that I received is About Last Night, and this one has the keynotes of bergamot, which bergamot is my favorite scent in this world, so of course I wanted to go for this one. It also has some white cedar wood, some grapefruit, some pink pepper, and it is traditionally masculine, but women do love this one too. And that's what I like about their scents at Confessions of a Rebel, because they don't really smell feminine or masculine to me. Like, they just kind of smell like unisex, like anybody could put on this perfume. And then I also got Fuck Mondays, and this one is definitely my favorite. This one also has the keynotes of bergamot, so like I am just trash for bergamot apparently. It also has apple, peach skin, clary sage, and sandalwood. This one also says it's traditionally masculine, but women love it too, so apparently I just really enjoy the more masculine smelling perfumes. I also really appreciate the size of these perfume bottles because I feel like this will last you for a really long time. Yeah, make sure to use my code GABBY to get 20% off your Confessions of a Rebel fragrance. Thank you so much to Confessions of a Rebel for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get to the books. Alright, so the very first question of this book tag says the best book that you've read so far in 2021. It just goes straight for the hardest question, like as if I can just pick one. But 4 books that immediately come to mind when I get asked this question is The Push. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. It's really dark though, wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but it's stayed on my mind all year. I read this in January. I loved it so much. I also really loved The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. This is one that I read towards the beginning of the year too, in February. This one has stayed on my mind all year. Then we have Finlay Donovan is Killing It. This is absolutely going to be in my top 5 of the year. I just had so much fun reading this thriller. And then Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is like a super recent favorite of mine, but oh my god, it's absolutely a contender for my favorite book of the year. I was smiling and laughing and like crying so much in this book. It just brought out all these different emotions in me. Absolutely loved it. The next question, number 2, says the best sequel that you've read so far in 2021. And I'm so stoked that I actually have an answer for this because I usually don't read a lot of series, you know? So typically I probably wouldn't have an answer for this, but I just finished reading Hang the Moon by Alexandria Bellafleur, and this is the sequel in a romance series or trilogy, I don't know, but it's the sequel to Written in the Stars, which was one of my favorite books in December last year. So I finally read the sequel, Hang the Moon, and I absolutely loved it so flippin' much. It's one of my new favorite romance books for sure. And before I just read that, I was gonna say my only answer would be Concrete Rose, but this isn't really a sequel, it's technically a prequel, but I don't read a lot of sequels, so I wasn't sure. Question number 3 says new release that you haven't read yet but you want to, and that is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. We all know. I've been hearing some mixed reviews about this, and I'm like, holy crap, because I'm gonna be so sad if I don't absolutely love this book. But this book just came out at the very end of June, and I have not yet read it because it is my book club pick for the month of July, so I'm trying to hold off on reading it until a little bit later in July so I don't forget everything about it. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited to read it, and I'm getting my mom and my sister to read it with me. Alright, number 4 says your most anticipated book for the second half of the year. And I have so many books that I'm highly anticipating for the rest of the year, but the first one that comes to mind is The Last House on Needless Street. This is the one that I am just so excited about. It comes out at the end of September, and I think I'm gonna make it the book troop selection for the month of October just because it sounds like everything I need. And then I also am really excited for Never Saw Me Coming. This one sounds so freaking amazing, and I low-key also want to make this a book troop selection because it sounds so good. Like the main character is like a female serial killer or something. I don't even know. Number 5 says your biggest disappointment of the year. Okay, I've got to hold up Malibu Rising. It's not that I didn't like this book, okay? It's not that I didn't like it. I just expected this to be like my number 1 favorite book of the year because Taylor Jenkins Reid is probably my favorite author, and so I just expected to love this like more than anything in the world, and I ended up giving it like a 3.5 or like a 3. And like I still really enjoyed this story, but I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed just because I thought I would absolutely love it. It's like the same how I felt about Beach Read last year. Like I expected that to be like my number 1 god tier recommendation, and then when it's not, I just feel like a little disappointed. It doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the story, but like I'm a little sad. But also Every Value Break by Peter Swanson, like I expected to love this book because I love Peter Swanson and I love most of his stuff, and I just, oh my god, this book was a hot ass mess, and it just didn't do it for me. And the next question is the biggest surprise of the year, and I love this question. I have a few different answers for this one because I love when you don't really expect anything from a book and then it freaking blows your mind. And for me, that would be People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, because as I just said, Beach Read was one of my most disappointing books last year, and so I had really low expectations going into this, but this ended up like, I loved it so much. Like I loved it so fucking much, and I didn't expect to, so I'm stoked for that. I was also really surprised by Local Woman Missing because I had previously read a book by this author that was either like a 1 or 2 star book, and I had just kind of like almost like sworn off this author just because of that one book, and then this thriller ended up coming up in here and being a 5-star book, and I did not expect it. I loved it so freaking much. I would also say A Good Girl's Guide to Murder really surprised me because young adult thrillers are usually not my thing, and I had been debating if I even wanted to read this for a long time because I was like, it is super hyped, but like what if I don't like it because I don't really like young adult thrillers? But like, holy crap, it was amazing. It's definitely worth the hype. Like it definitely lives up to that hype, and I cannot wait to check out more books in this series. It's just such a well-written thriller. The next question, number 7, it says your favorite new author, or at least somebody who's new to you. And for me, that would be Jennifer McMahon. I read The Winter People for the first time in January this year during Winterween, and I'm absolutely obsessed. This one's probably also going to be in like my top 10 favorite books of the year. And so then immediately I checked out The Drowning Kind when it published in April, and this was also so freaking good and amazing. I do have The Night Sister still on my TBR. This is one that I'm really excited to read, and I want to check out even more of her backlist because these books were so phenomenal, and if you're a fan of horror, like, you need to check out Jennifer McMahon because she's doing some wild things that I'm obsessed. Question number 8 says your biggest fictional crush so far in the year, and I would have to say Alex from People We Meet on Vacation because he's just so soft and like so adorable. Very recently though, I really did love Brendan and Annie from Hang the Moon. I just adore both of them so hard, so they're also new fictional crushes, as well as Dominic from the X Talk. This was also one of my favorite romances that I read so far this year, and Dominic is just such a precious little bean. Question number 9, it says your newest favorite character that you've read about this year. That would probably go to Finlay from Finlay Donovan is Killing It. I just find her to be such a funny, entertaining, likable protagonist to read from the point of view from. Like, this book was just the most fun ever. I also really loved Alotsaway from the book Alotsaway, and I love that she's asexual, and like that representation is so important to me in this book. But also this book was just so fun, and I loved following her character throughout it. I would also say Ryland from Project Hail Mary is one of my favorite characters, and another character in this book who I don't want to spoil for you, but like, question number 10, it says books that made you cry. There have been a few books this year that have made me cry, but The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna definitely takes the cake, I think, for books that have made me cry this year. Oh my gosh, I was a mess reading this book this year. Wow. Kristen Hanna did that. She continues to do that. Question number 11 is books that made you happy, which I know I keep pulling out this book, but Project Hail Mary made me so fucking happy. Like, this is one of the only books that made me laugh out loud this year. Like, I never do that. I never physically laugh out loud, but this book had me doing that because this book is just adorable. It's everything. I know this is weird to say, but thrillers make me really fucking happy, and reading The Hunting Wives and The Maidens made me so happy. Like, I was just so giddy the whole time I was reading these because they're just like right up my alley with what I like in thrillers. Also, the book The Plot, that was another book that I was just so like happy to be reading it the whole time because it's everything I enjoy in a thriller. The next question, number 12, is my favorite book to film adaptation that I've seen this year, and this one's hard because I realize I haven't actually watched or seen or read a lot of book to movie adaptations this year. My only options for this, like the only books that I've read this year that have been adapted into films, are The Snowman, Firefly Lane, and The Stand. So I mean, I guess I would go with The Stand, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the TV show. Like, I barely even started it. Like, I only got like 2 episodes in and it was kind of like cringy, so I stopped watching it. But I mean, Firefly Lane, it's tricky because I really did not enjoy the book, but I really enjoyed the show. So like, maybe that's my answer for this. I don't know. The most beautiful book that you've bought so far this year. The most beautiful book that I've bought this year would have to be The Ones We're Meant to Find, because God, like, look at this cover. Like, this is beautiful. I struggle to believe that this book is sci-fi because it looks so, I don't know, contemporary from this cover, but like, wow, it is so beautiful. Like, every time I see this, it just like takes my breath away. I also really love the cover of Lizzie and Dante. It's just so like summery and just, I don't know, I think I love the yellow text over like this beachy photo. It's so beautiful, and I also love that it has like a yellow spine. It's just very bright and poppin'. And then the last question, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I have so many books that I would like to read before the end of the year. Just a few that come to mind immediately. One of them is Horror Store. I ended up getting this book for Summerween, so I will be reading this very soon, but this is a top priority book for me because I really love Grady Hendrix. I would also really like to read Goblin by Josh Malerman before the end of this year. I'm so excited. It's 6 novellas in, you know, a giant book, and it all takes place in the town of Goblin, I'm pretty sure. I'm also so excited to eventually get to the family plot. I keep saying I'm gonna read this and I keep pushing it off, but I'm very excited to get to this one soon. And then also My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I'm really looking forward to getting to this one, but I think I'm gonna save it for like the fall time. I just want to read this one near October. I forgot to mention too that The Book of Accidents is definitely one of the most surprising books that I read this year because I just was not expecting to enjoy this so much after really not liking Wanderers by this author last year. And this book was just so amazing. It was such a fun horror novel, and it was just so spooky and atmospheric, and it was everything. Those are all of the books and things. If you've read any of these books that I mentioned, please let me know, and let me know what are some of the best books that you've read so far this year. I will still have a video going up very soon that's going to be like the best books that I've read in 2021 so far, so you can look forward to that, or if it's already up by the time I post this, then I'll link it down below. But I'm really excited to talk more about all of my faves of the year so far. And yeah, let me know what was the most surprising or what was the most disappointing book you've read so far in 2021, because I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye. What are we fighting for? Back into this no